So here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on our new our program master, quantitative and financial modeling. Uh, Today, I'm Professor Ahmed Ratnani and my colleague Ravi from ABS, African Business School. Maybe you can just start telling us a little bit about you. I will also talk about myself, and then we'll start for presenting the program.
Thank you, Ahmad. Again, hi everyone. It's a pleasure to join you here and explain about our new program. I am Professor Ravi Ranjan, professor in business analytics at Africa Business School. I work on quantitative finance, working capital management, cash flow management, and so on. And we are going to take you through the program, some examples, why this is relevant, and how this will help you to build your career in future.
Thanks a lot, Ravi. So, I'm Ahmed Atnani. I'm a professor in applied mathematics and computer science as well. And I lead the Al Khawarizmi department on applied mathematics and data science. And together with our friends and colleagues from ABS, we decided to create a new program that is an interdisciplinary program between applied maths, computer science, and finance. And this is what we will be talking about during this session. So, let's go, Ravi.
Yeah. So just to give a motivation on why should you be doing this program. So during the last decade, what we have witnessed is a rapid advancement in technology, proliferation in internet, which has led to huge volume of data generation. Now organizations need to build on capabilities which can harness relevant information from this data and which can help them make decisions. For example, let's say during last 10 years, and if we talk about the last year statistics, at least 10 countries in Africa has reached a 60% internet access in their population, and this has made increasingly important for our organizations to embrace this change. And some key questions for organizations could be in this context. For example, let's say which product should be launched at which price. They cannot simply determine that. They need to collect data from customers. They need to understand the competition and then try to fix the price. It could be finding the customer itself. How do companies segment the customers? How do companies analyze the investment risks in their project? During the crisis, we observed several disruptions. Companies faced cash flow disruptions. How do companies decide what is a good strategy to recover from those disruptions? And all of these require a data-driven approach. A recent article in Harvard Business Review suggests that there is a need of analytics, data science, and AI adoption. And the increase is not linear; it's exponential. It's skyrocketing. So in this program, we try to help students build these capabilities so that in future they can be industry leaders, they can be responsible leaders. And my colleague Ahmad will give you more on motivation and details.
Thanks a lot, Ravi. So, in fact, I'm certain that you heard a lot about data science, about artificial intelligence, and in fact, all companies, either small, be it or big companies, they're all working on their digital transformation. And if we take a look at some numbers during 2020, most of the data scientists were recruited in small companies, uh, meaning less than 10 people. But in 21, medium and large companies represented more than 80% of the market demand. So if this explains something, it truly says that we are not only on the stage of doing prototypes using data science, but now we want to deploy the models that we created. So we want really to go through the second stage of digital transformation. And for that, we need for sure data scientists, but what we need are different profiles that can work together, uh, being complementary to each other. And this is in fact what we try to imagine as a package, not only for the student so that he can or she can choose the expertise that he or she wants to build, but it's also for companies so that we can have a team of people working together in an interdisciplinary work. In fact, if we take a look at the recent Gartner reports, it says that in fact this digital transformation is taking at least twice a long time and cost twice as much as originally expected. And one of the reasons for that is for sure it is a hard task to go from prototyping to production. But one of the main reasons is the shortage of talent. In fact, in this field, um, 35% of companies are anticipating right now that their organization will struggle to find skills in data science and analytics. This number is only second to cybersecurity, which is 39%. So if we couple together data science, analytics, and security, then this means these profiles will be really, really highly demanded. And all this was really thought and was built for this new program that, as I said, will provide different expertise and can also be tuned as we will see it in the next slides. So the structure of the program, as we mentioned, there are three majors or three specializations, which are data engineering, financial engineering, and quantitative modeling. Why these three choices? If you look at the left of the slide, what we see is that in fact data engineering and quantitative modeling are acting like a support for the application domain. So what we like to design as programs is a program where we have a solid background in mathematics and computer science, and this program is built for a given application. So we want students to learn about the application during their studies. And why? Because in fact, one of the main challenges is not in data science or artificial intelligence and so on, is not in fact building, running the code or implementing the code. Now, implemented code is quite easy to do. It can take only a couple of dozens of lines. The problem is in fact in how to model the problem that you want to solve. And at the end, how to interpret the results that you get, which means that it is about modeling, about implementing, and also about interpreting. And for the first and the last ones, this means that the engineer or that the researcher who's working in the field should know really about what he's working on, and should also develop different skills on how to model problems. And this is where the quantitative modeling is coming. The data engineering is coming to allow, as we said, companies to go from prototyping to production. And this means that all the heavy, let's say, skills that students have to learn, like the MLOps, DevOps, etc. Everything that is related to cloud native computing. And this is the expertise that we want the data engineering to develop. And finally, there is the financial engineering, those people who will be working together in the application domain and are supported by quantitative models and data engineers. So the program is built on over 4 semesters, as any master program in Morocco. The last semester is the master thesis, and the 3 first semesters we have a common part, which is common to the 3 options, 3 expertises, and then the student can select a specialization starting from the 2nd semester and dedicate all courses to the specialty in the 3rd semester. So this is the full structure of the program, where we see the 1st semester and half of the 2nd semester that are common to all the specialization, and then the students will be able to choose during this 2nd semester between financial engineering, data engineering, and quantitative modeling. So we will go deeply in each specialization. We will tell you a little bit about the course, what it contains, what are the learning outcomes and objectives of each program. Ali?
Yeah. Continuing from what Professor Ahmed said right now, there are key program objectives, and we have thought it well enough, so that we are able to imbibe all these attributes among students when they graduate. So the first idea is about understanding the VUCA world. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And the whole decision making process is quite complex. So with this program, we want to take you through this process so that you will be able to break this complexity into simpler problems and able to apply these concepts. The second part is to enable you develop strong simulation and modeling capabilities, again to solve these problems but in an ethical manner. So we talk about data ethics, privacy, and so on. The third aspect, which is very important, is to develop the algorithmic and probabilistic thinking. In any decision making, there is a risk side and a reward side. Of course, we talk about growth mindset, but if a firm does not hedge the risk correctly, then it could be really challenging for them. So we talk about probabilistic thinking, and try to develop the mindset required for that. The next part is acquiring a holistic overview of the market. Now, as a coder, you might be working on a very specific project, but then if you don't have an entire picture of what's going on, then implementing the models could be challenging. So we want to ensure that you are able to get this entire picture of the problem, and then you will be able to apply those concepts for any kind of decision making problem that you will encounter in the process. And the last part is about responsible leadership. So we see the graduates of this program as quantitative leaders in the industry. So which will take up, let's say, problem challenges in Morocco, Africa, and then build around that. So one of the problems, we can immediately see is how do we drive foreign direct investments in the country. Now, although this is a finance problem, this involves connecting multiple sectors, driving innovation, coming up with new ideas, projecting it to a global world, and then finding ways to bring investment in Africa. So and this can only happen through responsible leadership, where we will link this investment with sustainability, let's say green financing, and so on. So at the end of the program, you should be able to get these skills along multiple directions.
Thank you, Ravi. So now let's talk a little bit about each specialization, and we will describe somehow the learning objective of each specialization. Then talk a little bit about the content of each course and why this course is important for the specific specialization. So let's start with the data engineering part. So for sure, if we go back to the triangle where I'm showing the three components, we see that even if we are talking about data engineering, the spectrum of data engineering is going also onto mathematics, in the direction of mathematics. And this is really fundamental in the design of the programs that we are doing. We don't want to have data engineers who can only code. We want them also to be able to analyze and do some mathematics. And this is important. Why we are doing this? Because we want them to be able to solve real life problems that require modeling, implementation, and interpretation. We want them to be able to develop, to analyze, and have really and criticize a mathematical model for complex problems. So it starts with small problems, but then it can become very complicated or complex. And then we want them to be able to select the appropriate models to use. We want them to go from the selection of the model to its deployment, which means that we want them to be able to create to go through all the pipeline that allows, in fact, later on, the one who is working on quantitative modeling will be mainly working on prototyping models, and this guy, the data engineer, will be able to link this to the one who is doing reproduction, meaning in this case, for example, the people who are doing financial engineering. So really it is a big spectrum that we are trying to cover, and each specialization is coming to fill part of the job. So if we take a look at the content, so as we saw it before, there are there is the first semester that is common to all the specialization. So I will talk about it once for all because it will be repeated. Then there are 3 courses during the second semester that are also common. So the first course is about advanced Python programming and database management. So one first remark here is that we are already talking about advanced Python programming and not just Python programming. Why? Because we assume that students will start the year knowing how to program in Python. And why is it possible? Because in fact, we will start the year before the beginning of the year. For those who do not know how to code in Python, they will have dedicated sessions before the beginning of the year so that they can really master or have a good level in Python before starting the year. And therefore, we can go deeply into more complicated notions or more advanced notions that can be used later on. There is also the part on database management, which is here dedicated to all the technology that is used in the fields that we are considering. So Hadoop and everything that is related to that. Then comes the part on the statistical tools and the statistical methods for modeling in general, and then in finance in particular. And again, we assume here the students that the students have at least a given level in statistics. Again, since we will be having students from computer science profile and others from mathematics, we will for sure again offer courses before the beginning of the year so that we homogenize a little bit the profile of our all cohort. And this means that students will get some courses on statistical methods and statistics before the beginning of the year. And here again, it is about advanced tools. Ravi can tell us a little bit about it once I finish this the whole courses. Then there is the part on operations research and dynamic programming, and we will be also talking about optimization. But here the main focus is about giving the necessary tools so that students later on who will be working on either data engine or machine learning in general, and those who are working on finance can do portfolio optimization, can do optimization in general, can understand how to do optimization, how to model, how to use graphs in models, and how to use the basic algorithms on graphs, for instance. And this is the part about operational visuals. The second part of dynamic programming is needed for, again, the rest of the program, where typically, for example, in finance, we will be working on optimal control and stochastic control. And for that, we will be using the dynamic programming. Then comes the course on applied probability and stochastic modeling. So here we stay at the discrete level. So we are not considering continuous stochastic processes. We are not talking about Ito calculus right now. We are only talking about Markov chains, hidden Markov chains. We, at the end of the course, will be talking about Brownian motions. We will be talking also about agent-based model. So everything that is related to how to model random phenomena, but random phenomena that can depend also on time. And we'll be focusing also on the algorithmic side and how to solve the problems like the EM, the algorithm, etc., the EM method. And then there is the course on advanced computational methods. Here again, the objective is to give a fundamental background for all the students. It doesn't matter if he will be or she will be doing data engineering or finance. What we want them is to know how to do integrations in time, do approximation, a good approximation of a function, because usually people are talking about deep learning, about machine learning, and all this very fancy and nice techniques, but we usually forget that what we want to do is to approximate a cloud of point that maybe is representing a function. But if we don't know how to approximate a function, we should not use some advanced tools that we don't know a lot about it from the theory point of view. So we will be talking about how to approximate a function, what are the different methods, and why are they used, etc. And we will be also talking about how to discretize some simple partial differential equations using finite difference methods. Then at the end, there is a course on innovation project management. And here, what we want is really to initiate and allow students to develop this notion of innovation, because this field that is really high tech, but at the same time very applied and highly demanded, is a field where there can be a lot of innovation. And it's important for students to know first how to manage IT projects, because at the end they will be working either as IT guys or working with IT guys. So it's important to know how to manage IT project. But at the same time, there is this component on innovation, and it is important to know how to integrate innovation in such project. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the statistical course, since you will be the one giving it.
Yeah, thank you, Ahmed. So, in this statistical course, again, we assume that the students who are entering the program has basic idea about, let's say, statistics. But in this course, we try to go a bit more advanced, specifically in the dimension of statistical inference. We do hypothesis testing, let's say, more rigorously. We talk about Neyman Pearson theorems. We also do some advanced computation in R, and like getting some examples from, let's say, stock data, and how do you build apply distributions like, of course, normal distribution, but advanced distribution like, let's say, Pearson type 4, and get some insights on value at risk, some portfolio decisions, and so on. So we try to do uh, slightly advanced concepts in this course.
Thanks a lot, Ravi. So then comes the second semester. And again, we are still in the common part. Students will learn about machine learning and deep learning, and also stochastic optimization. So during the first semester, they learned about, let's say, deterministic optimization. And now we'll be talking about stochastic optimization. And these algorithms are used a lot in machine and deep learning techniques, and it's important to know how these problems are solved, because usually when you will be writing a model, you will have a lot of parameters. Because in general, optimization is a difficult problem to solve, and you have different parameters, and you need to understand what is the effect of each parameter, and this comes by learning the theory behind. So we don't want students to be users of a black box. We want them to understand what is inside the black box, to be even able to develop these black boxes for them, and then it will be a white box. But for sure, we don't want them to, at the end of the program, to be only users of black boxes. And finally, there is, again, in the common part, there is a course on numerical linear algebra and parallel computing. So why numerical linear algebra? Because, in fact, in general, what we do with our computers, in general, at the end, we are using some linear algebra. Either it can be classical linear algebra or some fancy linear algebra, but at the end, it is linear algebra. So students will learn about everything that is related to matrices, the different ways to store matrices, the different algorithms related to matrices and solvers, but they will also practice this using parallel computing. So they will learn about how to write fast code using Python, a code that can be as fast as a C code, for example, how to parallelize this code using OpenMP and MPI, and if possible, we will also be talking about GPU programming. Then, now the common part is done. The data engineering specialization starts really now. So the cloud native AI and ML, there are two courses on cloud native AI and ML, and the main objective of these courses, in fact, these courses are really what defines a data engineer. So all the components that are needed in the market related to data engineers, it will be here. It can be how to do deployment, how to use DevOps, MLOps, etc. It can be data security. It can be everything that is really needed by the market will be taught here. And this is very, very important. These are, let's say, the way that we are identifying the data engineers in this program. And I will explain why also later on. Then comes, in fact, the last two courses are a course that is, in fact, special topics and seminars in data engineering in general, and then a project in data engineering. So the special topics and seminars are um, are defined different ways. There are other courses that students can choose, small courses, but also seminars that students can follow. And these courses are really, again, designed to have a flexible and a hybrid program that can that allow us to follow the rapid growing of this market. Because what we usually forget in this kind of program that are very, very related to high tech is that each year the technology is changing, and it's important for us to allow students to have the latest technologies and to have the latest knowledge and state of the art regarding their field. So the project at the end of the semester comes really to have hands-on and doing the learning by doing a paradigm that UM6P is promoting. And in fact, students will be using different things that he learned during his 2 semesters, but also you will be able to discover some new things during this project. And this project will be also during the third semester, and it's the same thing for quantitative modeling. Then in the third semester, now things are quite advanced, because if you take a look at the program, it is clearly not a computer science program for data engineering. And there is a reason why we are introducing graphs and dynamics of games and learning, why we are talking about high dimensional approximation and machine learning with graphs. It is really because we believe that if while the technology is growing very, very fast, one thing will not change is the knowledge. And the knowledge is only about mathematics, algorithms, and the way we do the modeling. And for that, we will be moving now to graphs. We will be learning about game theory, about the learning paradigm in game theory. So this is the first course. Then we will also be learning about how to do machine learning, but now on graphs and not on some sparse or dense data. And we will also be talking about how to approximate high dimensional problems using either machine learning techniques or also using some tensor techniques that are in fact just a generalization of matrices in high dimensions. Then comes the reinforcement learning. Again, here we'll be talking about, we're going back again to the Markov chains. We'll be talking about different heavy mathematics that are needed to understand and fully grasp the concepts of reinforcement learning. Finally, we go again to the course on cloud native AI and ML, where this is the technical part for the data engineer. And then we finish again by topics, seminars, and project in data science. I think the next slide is about finance. Please go ahead,
Yeah,
Ravi.
thank you, Ahmed. Again, as we discussed in the earlier about program objectives, we have again a specific objective with respect to financial engineering. Here, we focus more on, let's say, financial markets, understanding exchange markets, different derivative products like options, futures. In different context, uh, uh, to develop a mindset for modeling around for financial problems. Let's say, as a portfolio manager, you need to talk about investments for a company. uh, it could be specific to a given project. So when you acquire a project, how do you decide, is the project worth worth taking or not. So you try to compute the net present value for the investment in the project, compute your expected cash flows that the project will bring, and finally take a decision around that. So we try aim to develop such understanding through this course. And as we discussed earlier, the idea would be to bring in a responsible and ethical leadership skills through this entire financial engineering specialization as well. Yeah, in the first semester, we will have same set of courses as Professor Ahmad mentioned in the beginning for data engineering specialization, because the semester one is really common for all the students. In semester two, it's almost common, but it's slightly diverging, where we introduce two specific courses. The first one, Foundations of Financial Market, and here we try to invoke an understanding of entire financial market, whether it's let's say the history of banking system, whether understanding the fundamental finance concepts, let's say understanding bonds, understanding how a specific derivatives works, how trading works, how investment works. So all these concepts is inbuilt in this first course. The next course we introduce is accounting, corporate, and sustainable finance. Now, accounting is very essential for understanding the entire cash flows in any company. We talk about managerial accounting. This could be a project-based accounting, where how much firms spend on procuring raw materials, how much firms spend on say selling those, what are the days of inventory outstanding, days of payable outstanding, and so on. Within that, we also have the financial accounting side, where we talk about let's say cash flow statements, and or the annual cash flow statements of the report that companies has to generate. Finally, we introduce the idea of sustainable finance, keeping in mind the impact investment that is picking up across the world. We talk about sustainability, climate change, and risk management in this context. So we bring this element in this course as well. Semester three, where the actual specialization in this financial engineering stream that happens. And here we start with actuarial science, which has to do with the insurance industry. How do you price your insurance premium, which is a big question in this industry. So we talk about the industry in general, and then talk about models about pricing these premiums. Then we introduce a modern portfolio management, which is slightly state of art models for portfolio management. This could start from talking about, say, earlier models about efficient frontiers, but then it takes into recent advanced machine learning models which are being used to select portfolio, whether it's using clustering, whether it's using say real-time market data, and so on. So how do we embed that to construct a portfolio which gives consistent returns for retail investors, or maybe individual investors, those who are, let's say, traders, and so on. The next course again builds on what the students have learned in semester 1 and semester 2, and especially in terms of the probability models, advanced statistical models, stochastic process, and so on, and delves into stochastic control. And as Professor Ahmad mentioned about Ito lemma, and so on, we try to dig deeper into stochastic optimization, and talk about, let's say, black source models for option pricing, arbitrage pricing, and take a major theoretic approach to understand and modeling around, let's say, financial derivatives. The next concept is more in delves more into the foreign exchange market. With international trade or international management picking in, it is very important to hedge the currency risks for all countries. And currency risk can have a big impact on exports and imports for different countries. So how do we hedge that risk, and how do we model around that? So we offer a specific course around that. The next part talks about risk management in general. It could be financial risks. It could be how do you manage a disruption risks, like using extreme value theorems and so on. And the last course where we talk about asset management. All these big firms have their asset management teams. They have a hedge fund to manage, and this becomes a big concern. Even the regulations like Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3 coming from committees in Switzerland, and banks have to cater to that. So we talk about all of these in these courses. uh, Ahmad, maybe we can move to the next slide.
So we can move now to
Yeah.
the quantitative modeling specialization, and following the same paradigm. So, like the data engineering and financial engineering parts, the quantitative modeling is also aimed to solve real life problems. Now, the main difference here is that we'll be focusing on modeling, and what we want is that students develop that they develop different ways of solving problems. So what we'll be doing, in fact, is rather than focusing only on one application field, we'll try to visit different fields. So we'll go to biology, to physics, and by doing this, the students will have more and more, let's say, abstraction, or he or she will be able to see the world differently. And these are skills that he or she is developing. These skills are important for later on during his work, to know how to model the problem, because not all the problems can be modeled by equations like what we do in physics. And this is where really, for example, economy and biology are very interesting, because then we will be talking about models by rules, and the way we solve this kind of problem is different from the standard one. So these first parts are similar. Now the main differences are in the second part of the second semester and also in the third semester. So again here, the only difference is in the course that is really defining the field, and here the course is about advanced computational methods too. So we did the one during the first semester. Now we will be doing the two, and during this one we will still, as I said before, we finished with the partial differential equations using units finite differences. Now we'll be moving to more advanced methods or different methods like finite element methods, finite volume methods. We'll be seeing different applications. It can be in finance for solving Black-Scholes problem, or it can be in physics or chemistry or biology and so on. So what we want is that the students learn how to model, to understand what's happening in the real life, or the problem that he is modeling, and then to implement it, solve it, and then understand the mathematics that is behind. He or she will be also able to choose some selection of courses. And this is the nice thing in this program, is that, for example, you can follow the quantitative modeling specialization, but still take two courses from finance, which means that you are developing somehow quantitative and modeling capabilities or skills, but more dedicated to finance. And this is very, very nice. So you can have many nice features with this program. Again, there's the project, and then we move to the last semester. During the last semester, we see again two courses that are common with the data engineering option, specialization, meaning the graph dynamic of games and learning, machine learning on graphs and high dimensional approximation. These two courses are common to these two specialization. But then the novelty here is that we have computational biology rather than reinforcement learning, and computational physics rather than cloud AI, cloud native AI and ML2. And still, the student can follow these courses, but also take the course on reinforcement learning during the advanced topics and seminars in quantitative modeling. So this is really nice, because he or she can develop different skills in data science, but also in the application domain, which is very, very nice for the students. So we can talk a little bit about the eligibility. It's Uh, this program is a master program, so it is open for students who have a strong quantitative skills in as a bachelor or an engineering school in mathematics, applied mathematics, and computer science. So these are basically the people who enter the program. So for sure, this is a heterogeneous population, and it's our job to be sure that at the beginning of the year this heterogeneous population are somehow homogeneous in some specific fields. So we will be doing this fast track on on computer science, programming, basically, and also in mathematics, but also in languages as well. And then as I said, it is open to engineering schools again with the background in mathematics, computer science, or equivalents. And in order to be qualified, students will have to pass an exam. So this is after the selection after the pre-selection. Students will have to pass an exam and also so a written exam and also an interview with a team that is a multidisciplinary team from ABS and from the business school and the mathematics department. So, Ravi,
Yeah,
some more.
again, thank you, Ahmed. In terms of this program, Uniqueness, we try to survey multiple programs across Africa, especially within this quantitative paradigm, and try to see if there are programs existing. There are, of course, a few programs which are well perceived, but then if we try to, let's say, benchmark with market standards, which can really cater the quantitative needs, the data science needs, and the financial needs, we really didn't find one. So that's also the reason we combined multiple streams, and there are multiple specializations that we are providing. So we have very well up to date and uniquely designed courses. We have introduced innovation project management, which Professor Ahmad mentioned earlier. In terms of portfolio management, we are really trying to be state of art in terms of our content. We have introduced native AI and machine learning, which forms core of, let's say, data engineering specialization. And we have special topics as seminar courses. Let's say you identify a topic from your internship at a company. You can take that specific topic. Maybe it could be advanced hidden Markov models, which companies are using, and then use that as a seminar course to delve deeper. So in this way, a student can be very specific in terms of what he or she wants to specialize in. And this program will also lead to more collaboration opportunities in multiple companies, multiple sectors in future.
Okay, so you start this program, but your question is for sure, what are the career prospects for this program? So depending on the specialization that you will follow, uh, you can either go for scientific data manager, R&D, engineering, biostatistician, bioinformatics, analytics in general, quantitative analyst or quantitative researcher, and even PhD positions in academia for quantitative modeling. For data engineering, it is somehow similar, but here there is all this new, all this additional component or different component, which is related to data engineering, DevOps, MLOps, data ops, engineers, BI, but uh, you will be also able to do HPC engineers or project leader, and as well PhD positions in academia. For financial engineering, for sure, there is the part on quantitative researcher and quantitative analyst, which is something that is really shared between quantitative modeling and financial engineering. But you have also the part that is really dedicated to finance, which is risk management, actuarial scientists, financial engineers, and again, PhD positions in academia. So finally, you start, you leave, but by leaving, you will be having some learning outcomes that you get with you in addition to your diploma. So that's for sure. You will have a diploma at the end of the year, or the end of the second year, the 2 years. But there are things that you will learn, in fact, in addition to the knowledge that you will acquire. And um these learning outcomes, it will be for sure the fundamental concepts in your area of study, but it will be also the fact that you can identify, formulate, model, and implement innovative solutions that can solve some problems for Morocco or Africa and beyond for sure. Uh, Being able to communicate effectively and autonomously, it's very important for us that our students develop this autonomy, that they can learn how to learn by themselves. This is why we are really insisting on this paradigm that we call learning by doing. It is very important that the students learn how to learn, because in the area where we are living, it's not only the field that we are talking about. In this new area where we are living, many jobs will disappear, and some new jobs will appear, and we don't know what are the jobs that will disappear, that will appear, and also we don't know if someone who will get his diploma in the next 5 years, if he will only do one job in his life or 10 different jobs in his life. And this is only because we are really in a transition and we don't know what the future is. We don't know what is the market, what the market will be offering as jobs in the future. But one thing for sure is that if you develop the skill of learning by yourself, of being autonomous, then it doesn't matter what the future is. You'll be able to adapt, to adjust, and get the best thing of your life. And so, as well, one of the learning outcomes is to be able to demonstrate leadership. So, really, it's very important for us that this program help Morocco and Africa build a new generation of leaders in finance, in data engineering in general, in modeling in general. We want people that can play a team, that can be a team player, but that are also a catalyst for this team, that can allow innovation and growth in their organization, but also in their society. So it's also important to acquire techno fluency. So we want students to fully master the technology that they are using, but we don't want them to use it or use them as black boxes. So this is the part on analytics. We want them to develop the quantitative, the how to, and we want them to understand what they are doing and not just to use things as black boxes. And finally, it is at the end of this program, all the students will embrace complexity and also uncertainty for decision making. So I think for sure, you heard a lot the word complexity. Nobel Prizes this year were dedicated to complexity, and the world where we are living is very complex. And what we want is students or future laureates who are able to face complexity and know how to deal with complexity. So we can have a long discussion about complexity and difficulty, but in general we say that we can solve a problem that is complex, but we cannot solve a problem that is very difficult or very hard. And why we can solve a problem that is complex? Because in general, because we can split it into small problems that we can solve. So the complexity has different natures, and one of the natures can be just the connection between simple problems. So this connection can be itself complex, and this is the job that we, or the aptitude and the skills that we would like students to develop. So maybe Ravi, you finish with this. We still have 2 slides. You can finish these 2 slides.
Yeah,
We
for
move
sure.
to questions, so we
Yeah,
will have
Mohammed.
a couple of minutes for questions.
Yeah, also adding to your complexity point, we have uncertainty, and the students, if they are doing the statistics course or probability course, they can delve really deeper into uncertainty, and then break it down to simple models for decision making. So in this slide, we try to map. We explained you earlier about different program learning outcomes, and Professor Ahmad explained you about different graduate learning outcomes. So how are they mapped in terms of which one is placed where? So for example, outcome one, which is about understanding the interconnectedness in all these complex phenomena, is linked to graduate learning outcome one and graduate learning outcome six. Ahmad, if you could just go back to the previous slide. uh, yeah, so graduate learning outcome one is understanding the fundamental concept, and the sixth is understanding complexity and uncertainty for decision making, which will get reflected in PLO one. If you go to the next slide. So, through this slide, the message is each of the learning outcomes from the program, and each of the learning outcomes as you graduate from this program has been well thought through by putting the right courses, and you will be able to ensure that each of these learning outcomes are will get taught to you as you finish the entire master's program for 2 years. Yeah, Ahmad, you can maybe talk about the test process.
Yeah. So finally, what is the process? So maybe many of you already applied on our website. It's time to finish your application. For those who didn't finish it, you have until 15th of June to do this. Then the platform will be closed, and we will do the selection. Students who will be invited to the exam will get their will be notified as soon as possible by the beginning of the 20 or June, starting of 20 June, and the exam will be the 30th of June, 1st of July, and maybe 2nd of July, depending on the number of candidates who pass the second phase. So during the 30th of June, it will be the written exam, and we will explain in the next slide what is it about. And then the interviews will be done during the 1st of July. The admission results will be by during the starting from, let's say, the third week of July, if everything goes fine, and the start of the academic year will be in October. But as I said, before the beginning of the official start of the academic year in October, we will start before, so that we homogenize the different profiles, or the population, this heterogeneous population that we will get. So the selection is divided into two stages. The first one, so this is after you get your invitation to pass the exam. So once you come to our university to pass the exam, there are two stages. The first one is what we call the rapid test, or the quant test. Here, it's about 2 hours of exam. It will be about mathematics or logic mainly, and reasoning, and then there's also language exam. It's somehow 2 hours. After that, we will do the correction of the quant test, and only some students will be eligible to move to the second stage. And then in the second stage, so it's still in the same day, it will be we will have this long exam. So it's basically 4 or 5 hours of exam, where students will get problems in computer science and mathematics. They choose whatever problem they want to solve. What we want to observe during this exam is not the aptitude, because the aptitude somehow we already tested in the first exam, but we want to see the resilience of the students. We want to see how far can he or she move, how he or she behaves when he's facing difficulty, because the exam is somehow difficult. And these are the things that we want to see. If the students will leave because he or she finds that it is difficult, or if he or she will really stay focusing and try to solve whatever he can solve, because this is the way he is. He likes to face adversity, to face complexity and difficult problems. and this is somehow will and this will tell us about how the student is. It's not only about how he thinks, but how he behaves, and it is very important. Then comes the interview, and the interview is divided into two parts. The first part is a more technical interview where we'll be asking about what you did, your motivations, but also some questions depending on your profile for mathematics or computer science. And then the second part, it will be more a discussion in a small group of students, and that will be supervised by a professor from ABS, and we will see how you talk, how you if you have if you can criticize the others, and how you behave in a group and in a team. These are different things that will be used as ingredients to evaluate and to learn more about the students who will be applying to our program. So we finished the presentation. We are sorry for being late. We talked a lot, but I hope that we answered many questions that students had before. And now it's time for questions. So please, Iba.
We have a first question from Hajar. She asks, the master's program will take place in Rabat or Benghazi campus? Ahmed.
Yeah. So the master will be in both, but not at the same time. We are not yet at this point, but it will be first in Benghazi, and then we will move to Rabat.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, can we move to the next question?
Next question, please. Okay, so I think there was only one question from Hajar.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so
So,
perfect.
yeah, so
Thanks
that's
a lot.
okay. Yeah,
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks a
yeah,
lot, Hiva and Lita, for all your support.
yeah.
And I hope to see you soon.
Exactly. Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you, Rita, Hiba, and Saima. So she's not here. She has helped us throughout this program, and our all our academic program officers and so on.
Thanks again. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, yeah. We have another question.
So we have
Yes.
another question.
Omaima, she asks, for those who are studying in preparatory classes, they have the right to benefit from this program too.
So in fact, if you are in class préparatoire, you do not have the right to move to the master because you are still missing 1 year. So you need to either so basically you need to go to finish your studies by a bachelor or licence. So you need 3 years after the baccalaureate, but not the 3 years of class préparatoire, the 3 years of program.
We have another question. Imad, he asks, are the technical questions general or detailed? Uh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can piece that. So the in the interview part, the first part, the technical will be on quantitative concepts, the mathematics concept or probability concepts. And in the test part, the first part is, as Professor Ahmad mentioned, it's most more on your aptitude, your logical thinking. But the second exam is much more detailed, which really tests your perseverance to go through 4 5 hours, build on, go deeper into mathematical questions. So these are the technical parts we are trying to assess.
I don't know if there is any other question.
Perhaps now they are slightly trying to put up. Maybe we can wait for a couple of more minutes just to see if there are. Hiba, do you see any more questions
I
popping up?
think there is no other. Okay, so
Yes,
Hada again.
there is a question: a basic and main quant exam in English or French? Ahmed, both.
It's in fact, as usual, we prepare our exams in both languages, French and English. We even already prepared it in Arabic as well.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
no, you can choose the language that you want, but for sure, and this is very important for all the students. Uh, for at the end of the program, we are expecting the student to have at least a minimum level of language that our language lab will accept, and that we agree that in fact it is up to the standard for this kind of programs. So this is at the end of the master. The program will be taught in English, so which means starting from the first year, all the courses will be in English. So we students will have to work on the English language, but for the exam, we don't want to discriminate students between French and English. We will give them the chance for that, and so we will be offering courses on languages. So for the students who are not very good in English, as long as you pass our exam and you are selected, we will be offering you courses on languages, French or English, but you will have to follow them and to succeed in these courses so that you can get your diploma at the end of the program.
Yes, we have another question from Imad. Are the interviews the same or do they depend on the interviewer? Also, which language? Imad, the interviews will be in English, and the questions depend on the interview panel. So we cannot have same questions for all panels, otherwise students will come out, they will know the questions and they will start sharing with others. So each students will have different questions, but they can expect similar levels. So that we are aware on what kind of questions we're asking.
Exactly. And more, in fact, I can add something else is that we make sure that there is that the different professors or they constitute, let's say, one commission is homogeneous. It's important to not get only mathematicians in one commission or computer scientists in one other commission. It's important to equidistribute the different profiles of professors so that if everyone can give his or her opinion on the students. But the question will not be the same. The language depends on the interviewers, so we let the interviewers have the freedom on how to manage their session. They are professors; they know what they do, and we believe in their judgment. And in fact, they will be teaching in the program, so they have to select the good students for the program. Otherwise, they will have problems during the year.
Yeah, exactly. And language is the second criteria. First is the quant part, and if one has basic language English skills as tested by the language lab, it should be okay because we have courses in the program on the languages. I think Moad has the next question: how many students will be accepted on the master? Ahmad.
Yeah, so this depends, in fact, on how good students we find. If we find
Exactly.
40, we will take 40. If we find only 20, we will take only 20. It's really what we are seeking is a good quality of students. So, and this is the main thing for us. We will not say that there's 50 students that we will take, and it doesn't matter if they are good or not. No, we want really good students that will follow this program. And we don't have at UM6P, we don't have any requirements on a minimum number of students. So it's what is important for us is to get good students, very good students that can follow the program and that will be the future ambassadors, the future leaders that we really want to invest in them. So there
Uh,
is no limit up and down. It
ex-
depends
ex-
on the students, let's say.
yeah, exactly. We purely focus on the quality. So I think perhaps Hiva says no more questions. So maybe it's a good time to wind up.
Okay, so thanks again, Ravi,
Yeah,
Hiba,
thanks very much.
Rita, everybody,
Yeah,
and I hope that we will see you during the 30th of June.
for
So
sure. Yeah,
don't forget to finalize your files and your application on the website. And feel free if you have any question. We'll be very happy to answer them.
Yeah, exactly. Also, feel free to write to our program officers, and write to anybody. You can find our the details on the website. We have all the contact details, and write to us with any queries if you have any problems in your applications and so on. So you can write to us, and we will revert back to you. Thank you
Perfect.
so much, Ahmad. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.